Do you want a crested gecko? I'm sure you've heard that crested geckos are one of the best beginner reptiles. Crested geckos just make great pets for anybody, really. However, do they make a great pet for you? We're gonna go over 5 reasons you might not want a crested gecko to make sure that they are the right fit for you. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Zoe, but most people know me as 𝘼𝙬𝙧𝙀𝙀, and today we're going to talk about the 5 reasons you might not want to get a crested gecko, because it's very important to know the cons of an animal to make sure that you are fully committed before getting one. So jumping right in with our first reason, they are quite jumpy. Now, some are going to be calmer than others, but in general, they're a jumpy species. They are arboreal, they live in the trees, and you know, they could climb everywhere, but let's be honest, the quickest way to get places is to jump. So it can be kind of hard to handle them if they're jumping all over. You have to be careful they're not gonna spur of the moment jump off your hand and land on the floor. So it can make handling a little bit challenging and sometimes stressful. The next reason is they are going to require a little bit of higher humidity. We're talking about 60 to 80%. And depending on where you live, if you live in a very dry area, it can be kind of difficult to maintain those higher humidity species. Now, this can be combated with manual spraying a couple times a day or installing some sort of misting system. But again, you're either applying more manual labor or more money. So easy fixes, but it does require something else on your end. The next reason, like we already mentioned, they are an arboreal species. They're going to spend a lot of time up high, up in the trees. So you do need a tall enclosure to allow them to climb and feel like they are up high. Now, with them also being jumpy, it is good to have kind of a wider enclosure too. That way they have room to jump around. One of my favorite arboreal sizes for geckos like crested geckos is this enclosure I have back here. This is for my gargoyle gecko, Tula. Very similar care to a crested gecko. My 2 crested geckos will be getting enclosures like this as well. If I remember correctly, this is 2 feet wide, 18 inches deep, and 3 feet tall. So plenty of room to jump and climb. The next thing is crested geckos are very easy to feed. There's all sorts of different companies that have powdered food that you just mix in with water. So there are different fruits and whatnot, which just sounds so easy and convenient. However, they still need live insects in their diet. It's good for enrichment, it's good for hunting, get them some exercise, but also they're going to get nutritional benefits from those live insects that they're not going to get from powdered fruit. Now, you can buy powdered food like Pangea with insects mixed in, but ultimately it's not going to completely replace being able to eat live insects. It'll definitely be beneficial, but you really can't ultimately beat the live thing. And the 5th reason, the reason you guys probably were expecting me to say sooner than later, is that they can drop their tails. Now, a lot of reptile species can drop their tails, but with crested geckos, this is pretty common. So what happens is when a crested gecko gets startled, they will detach their tail. Their tail will drop, their tail will wiggle around. It is meant to distract the predator while the gecko itself gets away. Now, they do not regrow their tail, so once they drop their tail, that's it. And I said they do this when they're scared. But crested geckos, sometimes you never know why they do it. Sometimes they just do it. Sometimes it just happens. So you do have to be careful when you're handling and working with them, because if you startle them, they could drop their tail, but they could really drop their tail for any reason. So if you have a crested gecko and one day it just randomly drops its tail, it doesn't necessarily mean that you did anything wrong. It just meant the gecko no longer wanted its tail, apparently. And then you're left with a frog butt crested gecko. And quite frankly, I like the frog butts. I have 2 crested geckos, Pip, who has a tail, and Potato, who does not. And I handle Potato a lot more than I do Pip, because Pip has a tail and I would like it to stay that way, where Potato doesn't have one. So Potato is my education gecko. He's the one that goes to programs with me. Pip stays home where she is safe and sound and can keep her tail. Alright, I hope this helped. If you're a crested gecko owner, can you think of other reasons people might not want a crested gecko as a pet? Leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you for the next video. Bye!